What is aluminum oxide? It's a mineral or something. We're gonna figure out what it is in terms of wet blasting today. So let's get into it. So to start off with, I guess we should see what Google defines aluminum oxide as. It says that aluminum oxide is a thermally unstable and insoluble compound that occurs naturally in various minerals such as corundum. Now, that's not gonna help us in today's video because what we're trying to see is what is aluminum oxide as a blast media and how does it perform? Now, we're mainly gonna be focusing on brown aluminum oxide today and a few different variants. Brown aluminum oxide as a blast media is very hard and aggressive. It actually registers around a 9 on the Mohs hardness scale. So this aggressive nature is provided by the sharp edges that it has, and that's going to allow you to take off any surface contaminants off of your parts, such as just typical corrosion, grease spots, paint specifically, and a lot of times it's used to remove rust. It does a very good job of creating surface profiles on a part, which is why a lot of people use it to finish things such as CNC machined parts. But we'll actually speak more about the benefits later. For now, we're gonna show you a little bit of an experiment that we did with this Honda 50cc side cover, in which we used 70 aluminum oxide 120 and 220 to finish it. So after we show you how it looks on this part, we'll get back to its benefits. So let's get to it. Real quick, before we get into the experiment, it's probably best if I explained it a little bit more thoroughly. So we are gonna be using this Honda 50cc side cover, as I said earlier, but we're gonna be using 70, 120, and 220 grit aluminum oxide to see how they change the surface profile on this part. Now, you might be thinking, what do those numbers stand for? It's actually in relation to the mesh size or the actual particle size of the abrasive. The 220 is actually smaller than the 70. It's kind of like wire gauges and stuff like that. The smaller the number, the larger the particle. Now that's going to be very important when we're looking at the results it creates on this part. So let's see how that looks. The first abrasive we're going to test on this little Honda 50cc side cover is 220 aluminum oxide on this lower portion here. So let's go ahead and get that done. Now we're going to be blasting at 80 psi. And we're going to keep that consistent throughout all the abrasives. So theoretically, because this is the smallest abrasive, it should be the least aggressive. But we have had instances where a smaller abrasive actually works better for stripping a coating because it's able to get into it and kind of push it out easier, if that makes sense. Yeah, let's take a look at this finish. Did a really good job of removing all those contaminants. This part has a little bit of pitting, which makes it difficult to get those off, but this looks really good. All right, let's move on to the next one. So the next abrasive for us to test on this 50cc side cover is 70 aluminum oxide. Now, this abrasive particle is actually larger than what we typically use, so it might leave a rougher finish, but we're gonna test it out. So it also should be noted that we're running a 12mm nozzle in this blast gun, whereas typically we ship with a 10. It's gonna reduce the blast pressure by just a little bit, but the finish should be similar. So let's get to it. Talk about a difference. So last but not least, we have 120 aluminum oxide to finish off the centerpiece of this side cover. This is actually the most popular media that we use specifically for aluminum oxide here in our showroom. And hopefully this test may confirm why. Good. And we are back with our beautiful test piece here, and looking at it kind of closely, and especially feeling it, which I know you can't do over video, but the 70 is a lot rougher than the 220, and it's pretty visible. You can actually see some of the shimmering of the silver where the aluminum has been roughed up and created those edges that you can't see on the 220 side. Now, the 120 falls somewhere in between, in my opinion. It looks more like the 70 because you can see a little bit of that aluminum shimmering, but they all three look really good. As for your surface profiles, the 70 would be more useful if you were trying to coat afterwards, and the 220 would be more useful if you were trying to leave the part as is. Now, the reason that I say the 220 would be better if you were trying to leave the part as is because your smaller particles, and specifically if you're using something like glass bead, they actually are better at rolling the fibers of the aluminum, which prevents contaminants from being able to take hold, unlike they would with this 70, which has left this rough surface profile. Now, the rough surface profile, of course, like I said, is good if you're trying to do some sort of coating. Anything like Cerakote would have a great opportunity to bite into that part, which makes your coatings last a lot longer. One major benefit of using aluminum oxide in a vapor honing machine is the longevity of the abrasive. Now, since we're adding water into the process, it actually cushions it as it hits the surface. Now, you might think that this is going to lessen the effect of the abrasive, but it actually doesn't. What it allows it to do is use its cutting characteristics to strip the part. Another huge benefit of adding water into the process is, as you can see, we have these two pieces right here that are plastic and rubber, but yet they weren't damaged because the water cushions it and it's just going to clean the part. Now, this is a huge advantage in manufacturing, or specifically remanufacturing, because you don't want to damage your workpiece. And with vapor honing and its non-aggressive nature, you don't have to worry about impregnating your metals, damaging your sealing surfaces, or specifically harming these softer materials such as this plastic or rubber piece. So if you guys are looking for the perfect abrasive to clean, prep, and possibly finish your parts, aluminum oxide might be right for you. Now, if you own a machine or are interested in vapor honing, we would be happy to help you figure out what abrasive will work for your process. You can reach us at 828-202-5563 to figure out which abrasive you should use. We've also done extensive research into mixing abrasives, which makes it easy to tailor fit it to your part. You can actually learn more about mixing abrasives here. But again, if you need help figuring out if vapor honing will work for you or what abrasive you should use, give us a call at 828-202-5563. Thank you all for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this video and found its information useful. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and following us on our other socials such as Facebook and Instagram, where we post other great content just like this. Again, thank you all for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.